wherever you are. I mean, let's just get into it. Probably the easiest way, isn't it? And see all the reaction. There might not be any order. There might not be any strategy to this, but we're still all absolutely buzzing from everything that happened last night, aren't we? So, yeah, I'm looking through here, and as it says, this tweet from Lewis Steele, I think this summed it up well. Not heard this word for a while. The word jammy is often used as a dig, but this was one jammy win. It was also the sort of win all champions. Very early days, but the sort of win that Liverpool will look back on. I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, it is important to say we will never face this atmosphere, this hostility, this backdrop of circumstances again. It was unique Alexander Isak derby. I mean, did anyone see the tweet that their owner, Jamie Rubin, put up and then deleted into them, and all? I mean, an owner of a football club, for God's sake. And if you look at what happened for Anthony Gordon, or maybe it was just showing how much Fred he really is, that backfired a little bit, didn't it? They were just too het up from start to finish. And Simon Hooper, who, by the way, had absolutely zero control of that game. Zero control whatsoever of that game. And let their sort of blatant fouls go early, then started booking ours. One or two justified, but some of you were just like, what are you doing? You could just tell the game was out of his control. His lack of game management built towards that. A good ref maybe puts a marker down, just lets it flow, but stops the silliness early, and it's always surprised. But anyway, jammy. It was equally as brilliant as it was bad. And yet we're still absolutely buzzing. And we're buzzing because, as it says there on the official match report on the official site, Rio Ngumoa's 100th minute goal gives Liverpool a thrilling 3-2 win at Newcastle. And do you know what's funny? When I look back or scan some of the stats this morning, you forget things that almost happened. Cody Gakpo got 2 assists. Don't think he did anything. Mo Salah got the assist. Wouldn't say he did nothing. I just didn't think, because of the way the game was going, we weren't playing well. We did not involve Mo in the game enough. It's pretty simple. Involve your best player. And then, yeah. And just the goals, as I'm looking at that celebration, you remember in the minute, the goals we conceded were as bad as that goal from Rio Ngumoa as a team goal was good. It was, honestly, that third, you'll watch it back, and someone please send me the link, because one of you is going to do the, I was going to say, Titanic overview to it, as he steps onto it. So please send us that link already this morning if you've got any of them. But it genuinely was. That's sort of one of my overall summaries. It was as good as it was bad. And there was a brilliant minute at the end when Sky managed to zoom in on Arne Slot, giving Rio Ngumoa a massive hug and said, enjoy the moment. And he shoves him towards Liverpool fans in that, I've generally been up there. I was away for the Darwin Núñez derby, and you literally need an inhaler by the time you get up the top of their steps. So they were in the gods, but what a night for them. What an absolute night. A roller coaster of emotions. And there's plenty you could dig out or talk about, but let's just listen to the main man and his thoughts on it.
Is it results like that on nights like this that win titles ultimately?
Well, that's the last thing I think about at this moment, if I'm honest. Winning away at Newcastle, then you definitely need to have quality, especially in an atmosphere like this. And not football quality, because that's not what we showed today, apart from the last goal we scored. That looked a little bit like what I see on a daily basis on the training ground. But to have the mentality to fight here in such a hostile stadium, that definitely is something you also need if you want to compete in the end. Winning is something else, but at least competing, you definitely need to have this mentality.
Yeah, and there was at times a danger of a football match breaking out, which Liverpool were trying to start. And for all the things we could say about Newcastle, this is not a dig. They played the game to their strengths. Yeah, they made it a physical battle. They've got some good players. I thought Bruno Guimaraes was absolutely brilliant for them. No two ways about it. But they made it that game. And in fact, we often played into their hands. And in terms of, as Arne Slot said, it's right not to be thinking about titles because it's great to show that character. But there's a bit of a soft underbelly to us at the moment. There's no denying it. And some players, it's right to talk about in this podcast. But they did fight. And actually, the time where they showed their quality at the end was the telling moment, wasn't it? As I said, absolutely as bad as it was brilliant. And let's talk about the brilliant, because there was two players who, without doubt, stood out. As that tweet says on the screen, Virgil van Dijk made the most clearances, 14, and completed the most passes, 51, versus Newcastle. He won 7 of 11 duels, including 6 out of 9 aerial duels. A phenomenal performance from the captain. Yeah, absolutely sensational. In fact, all the times it was coming into the box, you're either thinking VVD's going to head this out, or there's just chaos is going to erupt, as per Newcastle's second goal, because we couldn't deal with it. I just thought you could tell there was a few moments on camera, he was looking around from side to side going, is anyone going to help me here? Especially in terms of his centre-back partner. He was not getting the support he needed at all, was he, the skipper? But the captain was brilliant. And as he said at the end, it was a great moment for Rio. Some great things we showed of fighting, but some things we're not happy with, which I like the way he phrased, and we need to work on. He'll be under no illusions. And did anyone see the back of his Achilles with the rake where Anthony Gordon went down it? As he said, he was asked about that by Sky, and he was honest and said, if that to Anthony Gordon, if that's not a red card, I don't know what is. I genuinely couldn't believe, I can because of the atmosphere they're creating, but booing that and when it comes up on the big screen as St. James, it's just so obvious. And yet, the captain was phenomenal, but I don't actually think he was man of the match. It was this man for me. Dominic Szoboszlai, 4 clearances, 4 recoveries, 100% of his tackles won, 39 out of 44 passes completed, 10 passes into the final third. What a shift at right back. And I think you actually saw at times they tried to invert him, didn't they? Get him involved in the play, especially as we were struggling to progress the ball forward in certain situations. Newcastle quite often, as you saw, would drop deep, put that low block in place and try and make us play through it on occasions. And that was with 11 men as well. But he was brilliant at right back. He really was. I thought he did shackle a lot of their threat well, especially Harvey Barnes got nada from him whatsoever. And it's funny, isn't it, when you think for that third goal, he will get no assist on his record. It'll be Mo Salah's pass, but it's the step over, which is the assist, as we all know, isn't it? That just leaves Rio Ngamoa for his minute. But I thought Dominic Szoboszlai was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant at right back. Brilliant when he changed it as well, higher up. Arne Slot's got a real decision to make about him, about where he plays on Sunday, because Conor Bradley came on for, I think, was it 10, 15 minutes at the end? The only good news around the midfield is Arne Slot did say after the game, Alexis McAllister is expected to be back. So that will be a huge positive at the same time. But yeah, Dominic Szoboszlai's position, whatever it is against Arsenal, he was brilliant last night. Got to be mentioned. In terms of those that weren't brilliant, as Lewis Steele tweeted afterwards, sorry, but Ibrahima Konate has been so poor, not just tonight either. I mean, I think he's been poor the end to last season, but you forgive that. You don't really care too much because it's the end. It's about how they start this season. And the Community Shield, the first 2 games, he's been poor. Now, Dan Burn is going to be difficult for anyone to handle, but you think for that second goal, he just gets pinned under it. But he had no composure. He was making bad decisions. It's just a rinse repeat of what we're seeing all season. And it is a little bit worrying because we are leaking goals. You know, we're leaking goals at 2 a game at the moment. And usually he has a part in those. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Bruno Guimaraes, he's always going to be difficult to handle because he's powering through. But Kirkes just doesn't jump, does he? And just kind of it's not good. It did, again, not a great game for Milos Kirkes. And I didn't think, not as bad as everyone made out. I just never thought from the start Florian Wirtz should play in that 10. I said, if he's going to play, he's got to be on the left. And you create the box midfield. It just wasn't a game for Florian Wirtz to play in the 10 for me. But Slot went with it, and it just didn't work. On the other side, though, for the new boys, Hugo Ekitike. I know the Charity Shield is a friendly, but 3-3, 2-2 for the Premier League. A lovely finish off the inside of the post. And that boy just links well, plays well. He is the real star of the signings so far, isn't he? A lot to like with him. I know some of you are starting to drift towards this a little bit in the chat panel as well. So let's get to it. Transfer news. I mean, it was always going to be about one man. And I'm going to say this. I'm ignoring the David Ornstein deal sheet that he's going to drop or has dropped, you know, at that a little bit. Because we're going to have to do some separate content on that, aren't we? Of course. And we've got Media Matters at lunchtime today. But as we got last night, Newcastle United chairman is set to attend. He was in attendance, wasn't he, for the game? The PIF governor last attended a home match for them a long way back and at the Carabao. I mean, this is the guy who is the owner, controls the purse strings. And I don't see it as bad for us that he was in town, even with the stories that were going round, because it's either now, today, going to start to move forward, or it's not, and we've got to move on quickly. And it was intriguing. I've not got it on the screen, but Matt Law of The Telegraph did say, actually, in one of his articles, that if Isak doesn't move quickly, Liverpool will look at alternatives. So there's that kind of hope. It's progress Isak or move quickly. The other hope was, typical to see these words, this Ornstein bomb that came late yesterday afternoon as well, about 3:30. Wolves reject offer from Newcastle for Jurgen Strand-Larsen. Of course, Newcastle see all their bids rejected or they go elsewhere, don't they? The 50 million flat, no add-ons, and follow what Newcastle felt were positive talks. Hopefully, this is the key line. Wolves' current stance, not for sale. We've had a not for sale stance, by the way, for Luis Diaz, if you remember, most of the summer. We know how that went. And this one about the 25-year-old viewed as a potential Wilson replacement. I know some of you are going to say, well, Wilson played, 300-odd minutes last season, so he's an Isak replacement. I hope that's the case. I hope it's they get one in and they'll let him go. Of course I do. However, they are going to want to split the minutes between the strikers. You've got Anthony Gordon now suspended. They've got quite a few injuries. It's interesting to see what the impact will be on that. And this was a bit of Geordie propaganda that went out, that the co-owner, Jamie Rubin, and the PIF delegation met with Alexander Isak at his home today. As Brand Barry said, shout out to him, what home? But anyway, club want Isak to stay and be reintegrated into the squad. So it could mean a new contract if the striker agrees. That was from Craig Hope, Daily Mail, the Newcastle correspondent. And Eddie Howe was asked about it afterwards, and he did say, I'm not party to the talks that have been happening. I have no idea where that stands. I've been focused on the team, not party to any discussions that have happened today. It does feel like I'm hoping with this now, it should move quickly. It's a case of, because time's ticking anyway, there's 6 days of the window left. It needs to move fast one way or the other. Speaking of things that might move fast as well, bit of sadness, but Fabrizio Romano tweeted this yesterday afternoon, 5:45. AS Roma have approached Liverpool today for Kostas Tsimikas to join on an initial loan deal. Tsimikas wants the move, but no green light to the formula yet, as Liverpool insist on a permanent exit. 2 more clubs in the race. for the Greek left back, which is great to hear, but someone give me a permanent deal for the love of God. Kostas is better than a loan. Few more quid into the coffers. And that's right. There's no, as people are talking about, he could go for a year and come back from Robbo. If Slot doesn't rate him now over Robbo, who's in the last year of his contract, let's just get a permanent deal and move on. But good club for him. I generally think Roma, Gasparini, he could be brilliant under him. So we'll see what develops for that one. In other news, you forget, Mark Gay, this seems to have gone quiet, but Indy Callier, and before anyone says, Indy Callier, this is a guy that's been validated now by David Ornstein, Jonathan Norcroft, the entire Sunday supplement panel, the Rory Smith article as well, and has got numerous exclusives right for Liverpool and others this summer, repeatedly. And he dropped a bombshell yesterday at 6:30 saying, City have made a move for Mark Gay. Liverpool is choice, but they're dragging his feet. Now, we'd actually say this on Sunday, when we did the Daily Red, to say, hold on, our news is that Unique Sports Group have been contacted by Manchester City over Gay, and that Everton are looking to buy Nathan Ake, and USG, the Unique Sports Group, have a number of Everton players on their book. So they were looking for, obviously, a nice bit of commission there. Mark Gay for Ibu Konate does not solve all our problems right now. Of course it doesn't. But maybe that added competition and maybe an alternative to the way Konate's playing right now. I mean, he's awful at the moment. Needs to rediscover his form quickly. Maybe, as we all want, Mark Gay into the squad. We talked about it yesterday on the TMM special. Just those minutes, especially with the injury concerns, would be so valuable. But we'll see. This one I'd write off to say that Rodrigo keeps being mentioned. It just feel agent driven. But that news that he won't leave unless his 300 grand a week contract is matched. We ain't doing that. We absolutely ain't doing that. This does feel completely gone in the water, dead in the water, that one. Yeah. And then for all the talk, and we'll enjoy it, and you'll be thinking, can't wait to be back at Anfield. This will be a hell of a game. Arsenal at Anfield, Super Sunday. And you don't wish ill on other teams, of course, or other players or injury, but we got that news from Sammy Mockball yesterday. Bukayo Saka expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. So he's set to miss the Liverpool game, of course. And if you were saying which player would I not want to face, it would be Saka. I do think he's their best player, personally. That one, Martin Odegaard shoulder injury, not so severe. So he's just been a bit of a pussy, really, wasn't he? And he'll, of course, be back for this one. But without Saka, who I think at the Emirates destroyed Robbo last season, yeah, I don't think that is a bad, situation for us at all. Then again, we'll have to see. Hopefully, as Arne Slot said, McAllister should be back. We'll see who's available or not for us. Just what a week it's set to be. 6 days left of the transfer window. All gearing up to Arsenal on Super Sunday. Two of the sides that have a perfect record, as in played 2, won 2. But Liverpool right now, if you're honest, are far from perfect. You saw that. But them Reds just know how to win. It's exhilarating. It's knocking years out our lives. But we're going to follow it every step of the way. Dear Lord. On Tuesday, the 26th of August, that was another news round for Anfield Index.